Reform is on the brink of an outright majority at the next election, major new poll says. I'm going to read into this more from The Independent, you guys. So it says a disastrous polling for Labour comes amid the growing question over Keir Starmer's leadership of the party. Now, this is what is the projection as of right now. Yes, and this is a YouGov poll as well, so I would take it very, very seriously. However, of course, polls can change between now and then. The problem is that right now is that there is so much distrust in Labour. There is so much distrust in the Conservatives. And while Liberal Democrats may talk a big game, but they're not getting as much attention as Reform UK. They're saying everything that they want people to hear. And they're making immigration number one discussion when it comes to the politics. The number one thing that people are concerned about. And they are very, very close. And if they do get a majority, then everything will be done by them. But if we do get a hung parliament, and I said that right now, I do think it may possibly, I still think it could be a hung parliament. But obviously, every single day Reform are winning people over because they have the influence. They have GB News. They have right-wing influencers. They have YouTubers, TikTokers speaking on their behalf. They are literally everywhere. The mainstream media can't keep them out of their mouth. They can't go a day without mentioning Reform UK. And Keir Starmer's government, while they seem to have looked like they started off okay, they started introducing policy after policy after policy that wasn't in their manifesto, that wasn't relevant to them. And they really have lost sight of who they were. And many people have just gotten fed up. And it's also important to point out is that people did not vote Labour at the last general election. A lot of people voted for them, not because they wanted them, but because they were so desperate for the Conservatives to go that they wanted something different. Here, it's not a case that people do want something different, but they don't want red and they don't want blue. And they're prepared to vote for something that will be dramatically game-changing for the UK, and which will ultimately make us worse off. But many people believe that it will be beneficial. But it's about how people and how political parties respond to these pollings. You know, and if they just continue the status quo, they're going not only are they going to find themselves kicked to the curb, but the UK as a whole going to find itself punished as well. So Nigel Farage is on track to become Britain's next Prime Minister with a major new poll showing the party is close to having enough support to form a majority government if an election were held today. The seat-by-seat YouGov poll on the second such poll since the election indicates the party has extended its lead over Labour, significantly increasing Mr Farage's chances of entering Downing Street in 2029. It suggested Reform would increase its MPs from just 5 to 311, making it the largest party in a hung parliament and just 15 seats short of the 326 needed for an outright majority. So it wouldn't get the majority is what they're forecasting as of right now. As of right now. In June, the last time YouGov conducted a seat-by-seat poll, it put Reform on track to have 271 MPs. The multi-level regression and post-stratification poll MRP showed Labour would lose 267 of the seats it won in 2024, putting the party on just 144 MPs. This will be down from 178 MPs YouGov predicted they would win in the last MRP poll. In the next election, Reform could win a further 306 seats, more than any other party, leading to a hung parliament. Labour could win just 144 seats, according to a YouGov poll. And here it is, guys. This is how the map would look if YouGov's polling is predicted. And that's very, very scary indeed for the UK as a whole. For the SNP, as I believe the SNP would gain back a lot of their seats. There you can see. Although Labour would have still some seats, you can also see Reform there would have a couple of would gain some projection in Scotland there as well, and holding on to at least one Conservative seat in Scotland there. As for the majority as for Wales, we could see there. Before I go to England, you can see Plaid Cymru have its fair share of seats there. The Greens would have one seat in there as well, but Reform would have a lot of control in Wales there as well, as we can see there as well. But overall, you can see Reform UK has the majority of constituents there, according to the polling. Liberal Democrats that will have a fair share of seating, definitely down in the south and the southwest of England there from the looks of it there. The Conservatives would have a sporray of outside around certain parts, certain mids, and one or two up the north there. Labour will dominate London, and obviously looks like around Manchester there as well. But that's about it. The majority of which the Greens have a few odd seats there, so they're not expecting the Greens to make too much traction there from the looks of it there, and it's looking like all Reform UK here. Remember, this is not an overall majority for them as well. There would also be a significant number of cabinet casualties, with Minister Bridget Phillipson, Ed Miliband, Lisa Nandy, John Henley, Jonathan Reynolds, Emma Reynolds, Pat McFadden, Wes Streeton and Yvette Cooper all at risk of losing their seat. Writing in the Times in the wake of the polling, pollster Sir John Curtis issued a stark warning, saying that Labour MPs have every reason to fear being swept away in a tsunami of unpopularity that would be every bit as damaging as it which engulfed the Conservatives last year. The poll showed that 231 Labour seats would be lost to Reform, 26 would be lost to the SNP, and the 10 would be split between the other parties. The Tories would also face a disastrous scenario, being left with just 45 MPs, the poll showed, putting them behind Reform UK, Labour and the Liberal Democrats, which the polls put at 78 MPs. This is a marginal improvement from the 72 seats that they won at the general election. Meanwhile, the SNP would win 37 seats, the Greens would win 7, and Plaid Cymru would win 6. The disastrous polling for Labour comes amid growing questions over Keir Starmer's leadership of the party, with voters increasingly feeling that Labour have so far failed to get a grip on problems facing the country. Now, I will point out here, obviously, failing to get a grip on the country. Yes, I do accept that premise that they need to get more of a grip on things. I also understand that a lot of people are impatient. But I want to be quite clear on this. A lot of people are impatient. A lot of people are angry about what was left of the UK after the Conservatives left power, and many people just want to see more. You can quite clearly see from the projections there that if they wanted to, that they could form a government with a Conservative minority there. But this is what the numbers that they are saying here. So 311 Reform, 45 Conservatives, 78 Lib Dems, 144 Labour, 37 SNP, 6 Plaid Cymru, and just 7 Greens. So the Greens would increase their margin very little, is what they're saying here. This is what their projections are here at the moment. There are now an increasing number of Labour MPs looking for Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham as a possible successor to the Prime Minister. This week, Mr Burnham said Labour MPs are privately urging him to challenge for the Labour leadership and accused Downing Street of creating a climate of fear, and that wholesale change was needed to see off the existential threat of Nigel Farage to Reform UK. It came as Scottish Labour leader Anis Sarwar, who has been an outspoken ally of Sir Keir since he took over as leader, refused to say he had the full confidence in the Prime Minister. But speaking to regional media, Sir Keir insisted he would lead Labour into the next election, saying he had been very clear that this is a project of national renewal. Well, people are not feeling it. That's the problem. I'm very clear that this is a 10-year project. It's not going to be a 10-year project. I lead from the front and onto the last election. I'll lead from the front into the next election, he told ITV. The PM also dismissed the personal ambitions of Mr Burnham and seemed to attack his potential leadership rival's economic agenda by drawing parallels with Liz Truss, which is bollocks. You shouldn't be making, like, Andy Burnham's political agendas are completely different to Liz Truss's. It's a stupid thing to say. Speaking to BBC, he said, I'm not going to get drawn into commentating on personal ambitions of the mayor, but I do want to be really clear about our physical rules because of the economic stability and the foundation stones of this government. It was 3 years ago this week that we had Liz Truss' experiment where she abandoned physical rules. In her case for tax cuts, and the results was a disaster for working people. The same would be true if you abandon physical rules in favour of spending, and I'm not prepared to ever have that inflicted on working people again. If the latest YouGov polling materialised at an election, it would leave Reform able to form a majority government with the Conservatives. But Labour would be unable to form a majority even if it was to agree a pact with the Liberal Democrats, the SNP, Plaid Cymru and the Greens. Yeah, so if we have this scenario, the right are going to win. No way about it. You will not be able to stop it, even with our hung parliament. Mr Farage previously said Reform has no intentions of forming coalitions with the Tories at any level because the Tories broke Britain's nationality for 14 years and their council continued to break local communities with the highest taxes ever and worse services. The MRP poll, which surveys political support at constituency level, was based on a survey of more than 11,000 people. So it is worth pointing out, that 11,000 people took part. But still, this should be very cause for concern. Reform are getting traction, and that they are getting into people's heads. People honestly think that the UK is going to be better off with reform, and they honestly have no idea. They really should be looking at what's happening in America right now, and they're going to get it here, and it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad for a lot of people. People are going to be far worse off, but they don't want to believe it. So it really is down to Labour to do more. But I just don't have a lot of faith in them doing that. But what do you guys make of the YouGov poll? What do you guys make of those numbers there? Do we think Labour are going to be in power? Or is it going to be a hung parliament? I still think it's going to be a hung parliament. But let me know your thoughts and more down in the comments section below. If you found this video interesting and informative, please hit that like button, share it across social media, subscribe if you haven't already. Do check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content. And if you got to the end of the video, type Blaze in the comments below so I know that you've watched to the end. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.